Welcome to the Petersen's Bowhunting Podcast. All bow hunting, all the time. Now, here's your host, editor Christian Berg.
All right, welcome back to the Bowhunting Podcast, presented by Lancaster Archery Supply. For all your bowhunting needs, visit lancasterarchery.com. We've got the gear, we've got the knowledge, we've got the passion. And speaking of passion, if you are a bow hunter, one thing you really love to do is shoot your bow, and not just the 2 or 3, or if you're really, really lucky, 4 or 5 arrows a year that you might get to launch at actual animals. And so towards that end, I've got a great guest today, Mr. Brandon Waddell from the Mountain Archery Fest. Brandon, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. How's the day going over there?
Better than it's going for you, apparently. Brandon is sitting in a hotel in Amarillo, Texas. He's on his way from his home in Colorado to Georgia for the first Mountain Archery Fest event of the season, correct?
That's correct. We're heading to Rome, Georgia, to a venue called Kingston Downs. And I'm looking forward to getting there because I'm sure it smells a little better than where it smells right now in Amarillo, man.
Why? Does it smell in Amarillo?
Yeah, dude. This morning, the wind's blowing just right off the cattle farms. It's a little stinky around here this morning.
Oh, wow. Well, like I said, you know, everybody who does what we do likes to shoot the bow. And gee whiz, your event has, you know, been growing quite a bit in recent years. And of course, there are some other events, you know, that are similar. These big mountain shoots with lots of targets and various courses have really become a big deal in our community. And you guys are certainly at the forefront of that.
Yes, we are, man. We're really taking it to another level for what we do at Mountain Archery Fest. You know, we've learned from some of the best, but, you know, we bring a little bit higher level of passion and family and children and to the board, you know. It's something that we're really stoked to be doing, that's for sure.
Well, and you guys added at least one new stop this year that I know for sure because it's here in Pennsylvania. And I think probably after you're done in Georgia, you're going to be heading up here to the Northeast. You've got an event coming up the first weekend in May in the Scranton, Pennsylvania area. And I'm looking forward to getting over there and shooting myself and seeing firsthand what Mountain Archery Fest is all about. And so for folks, you know, close to any of these events, why don't you give me a little tease as to why I ought to be really excited to come out and see what an MAF is all about?
Well, I'd say the number one reason is we've got the one and only world record course. We've taken some of the top world records, the records held by Pope and Young, and we've recreated these antlers and these horns of the world records. We've got them on film for you to come and shoot, and it's an awesome course. It's an educational course. And what's cool about it, as a testament to the hunters, is that the longest shot is 52 yards. And, you know, that's a testament to these hunters and how well they get into the bedroom of these animals and execute. And these things are awe-inspiring. They're amazing, amazing specimens to come and shoot at. We've got a great educational board at each shot as well that describes the health of that animal and where they come from and give you some good specifics on conservation and what that looks like standing right in front of you. So that's one thing for sure. But besides that, we've got a great family.
I got to interrupt you because you talked about the shot distances. So how many targets are on that world record course?
There's 20 this year on that world record course.
Okay, so it's 20 actual life-size replicas of 20 world record animals, and all of those shots are the actual shot distances that the hunters had when they took those animals. That's what you're saying.
That is correct, sir. Yep.
Yeah, that is amazing. Well, and it is so, you know, I found that to be true in my own bow hunting. You know, we prepare for really long shots, and that's good. 55 yards. Now I've had some follow-up shots over 70, but 55 yards is the longest I ever have taken a first shot. on an animal. And that was on a caribou up in northern Quebec. And but yeah, it is amazing how we go into hunts sometimes thinking I got to be ready 60, 70, even 80 yards. And it's like, no, top pin is how it all ends up,
Yeah, that's the facts, right? But, we've got 5 courses on our mountain, and each one of them graduates you up through from beginner to intermediate to awesome Western hunting course up to our carbon TV courses where you're going to just sail some arrows, because, there's nothing wrong with laying some flight to an arrow out there and watching what your equipment does at long distances. I'm a firm believer that practice at 100, make kill shots at 50, practice at 80, make kill shots at 40. I mean, everybody's got to work through and figure out what their effective range really is when it's time to execute, right? But we have a course for everybody. And that's the beauty of what MAF's all about, is that, no matter your skill level, no matter your discipline, no matter your age, we've got something for you at Mountain Archery Fest.
Yeah. And so you have how many courses total at an event?
5 courses, sir.
And it ranges from, and I was looking at your website last night for the event here in Pennsylvania. I think your sort of beginner course, I don't know exactly what you call it, but you're probably limited to about 30, 40 yards on that one?
No, our beginner course is actually our world record course because your longest shot's 52 yards.
Okay, 52.
Yeah, and then our intermediate takes you up to anywhere from 5 to about 70. And then our Western hunting course takes you from, the same thing, 5 yards out to 100. We got an antelope that's at 100 yards. Basically, that course is designed around things that my crew have experienced in our natural hunting repertoire, if you will, and we apply what we've been successful at or what we're still working on. Shots that we've executed correctly and shots we haven't executed correctly, so that we can continue to pass along what we've learned in the woods and in the actual hunting scenarios, and we put it on our course. And then you get to that carbon TV course, and that sucker goes from 45, 50 yards is the shortest, and it depends on the venue. It could reach 150. Eagle Point Resort, we got a buffalo sitting 150 yards out. It's down the hill. It's in this nice patch of grassy dirt, no rocks, no nothing. And it's just cool to just watch, you can spin 2 or 3 arrows at that sucker and just see how close you can get and you can hit it. And it's super fun.
So that course must be sponsored by an arrow manufacturer because that's their favorite, because they like people to lose and bust arrows out there.
It's actually sponsored by Carbon TV. The name's still kind of fitting because you're going to lose a little carbon on the course. That's for sure. And so, we've got Elite sponsoring our Western course this year. We've got Onyx hunting our exotics course, which is our intermediate course. And then, of course, the MAF World Record course. And then we've got a Disabled Sportsman's course, which is our kids course, and our track action course, and our comp course all in one. And basically that course is designed, it's a little shorter, a little easier to navigate. It's at the base area. So we started last year this track action mobility course. And what that is we bring a couple of those awesome track chairs, and it's a course that more disabled people can come to and utilize. They can come and borrow a chair. They can go cruise around. We build that course to where they can actually retrieve their own arrows as well. It's not just a sideline course where they cruise and other people have to go in and grab their stuff. It really makes it an all-inclusive course for people in that situations. It's pinned, multi-pinned, so that kids can step up on it. It's pinned for the comp shoot as well that we have on Saturday. And that's kind of something that MAF brings a little bit differently to the table as well, is that our whole weekend is built around the idea of just raising each individual archer in the sport of archery. But also we do have our comp as well on Saturday. So mostly recreational, but we have a small competitive component on Saturday. It has great payouts and good prizes, and then we also throw together about $6,000 worth of prizes we give away every weekend. And then at the end of this year, we have about another $30,000 worth of hunts to give away and other prizes at the end of the year. And if you come and shoot novelty, you're able to enter tickets into all these different opportunities to win great killer stuff from our sponsors and even other people that donate stuff for us. So pretty well-rounded event as well. Something else that's really particular to us is we have camping on site. really affordable family style event. So we have to have the camping on site. We also have these killer stay and play packages that are the most inclusive way to get into Mountain Archery Fest. It gets you all 3 days of shooting. It gets you meals. It gets you MAF merchandise. It gets you novelty money. Gets you free Onyx subscription. Gets you a 30-minute massage. Gets you the climate pad that's in the tent you get to keep and take home. I mean, it saves you about $300+ if you were to a la carte it. So it's a great opportunity to grab some buddies or your family and head in and just bring your bow and your sleeping bag and a pillow, and you're in for a great weekend.
Wow, that sounds awesome. So you guys basically set up some of your own tents, if you will, and you have like a camp cook, and people just show up and set up, like you said, put their bedroll down, and everything is provided for them throughout the weekend?
That's correct. I mean, we don't have a camp chef, but we do utilize the restaurants or the food trucks that we have on site for your meals. But that's exactly it. We round out 5 Davis tents in a little camp. It's kind of like a little elk camp, if you will, or deer camp. And you can come and hang out, meet some great people, pretend you're actually in a hunting camp. And then you of course, get to come shoot every course we got. It also includes tickets to our cornhole tournament that we have on Friday afternoons, and also entry into our guest speaker series that we have this year, which is Stories and S'mores on Friday night, which is really cool. You just show up, we got a killer speaker, and we provide all the s'mores and all the fixins, and you just bring a chair and come and chill out Friday evening after throwing some bags of with cornhole boards. And that's always a great evening to kind of get into the mix at MAF. And then, of course, at Saturday night, we have our great social. We throw out some hors d'oeuvres from 6 to 7. We draw our buckets for the weekend. We have silent auction stuff, and we're there just to killer elite bows as well. So,
wow, you guys have a lot going on. I mean, I'm really looking forward to getting out and seeing this for myself. And it just seems like it's, like you said, it's like a hunting camp outside of hunting season. It's a great sounds like a great camaraderie that you guys have there.
Yeah, it is. It is a great way to reconnect with people who you've seen or, that we're just getting to the east. We added Georgia and Pennsylvania this year. Our Western shoots are so much fun because, I even get to see a lot of the same people. I mean, our return rate is over 80% every year. And that just speaks for the event itself, that people really enjoy coming. They really enjoy coming and hang out, seeing people who they know, seeing the people they met last year. It's not unusual for a couple of singles to show up and register with another fivesome or foursome and get on the lift with them. And then they end up being best friends. They end up trading hunting stuff or going and hunting in other states where they live and back and forth. And it's a huge camaraderie and a great time.
Well, that is awesome, man. Now, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your venues as well. Obviously, as the name implies, Mountain Archery Fest, you think of mountains. And, I know you do have some of your Western events are at, mountain ski area type venues. But for example, I know that this location here in Pennsylvania, this would not be, it's not on a ski area. It's not on a big mountain. It's at a place called Camp Freedom. And that's actually a facility run by a buddy of mine, Matt Geddes. I'm sure you've been working closely with Matt to get that going. But it's going to be interesting because that's probably a little bit non-conventional. It's probably more of just a large forested, fielded area. Something different for you guys. I assume you scouted that out. I don't know what you're doing down in Georgia. I guess there are some mountains in Georgia, but talk to me about your venues and how maybe they differ, but something unique that each one sort of brings to the table as you set up these courses and such.
Yeah, as you work, in the West, it's really easy to find mountains, right? I mean, and to find ski resorts and great places that kind of fits with our name, Mountain Archery Fest. But, as we're moving east, we're beginning to realize that, we can't always find the highest and tallest peak in every state and make it work for what we want to do. So as I've been looking around the East, one, it's finding venues that agree with and align with who we are, right? And that's hunters and conservationists and, red-blooded Americans, right? God-fearing and people that just have respect for humans and each other. And so, you'd be amazed at, you'd think that everywhere you go in this country, that would be the case, but that's not necessarily true. So, looking at Georgia, Kingston Downs, beautiful venue, has a killer river running through it. You're right. It's kind of a wooded place. It's kind of like Camp Freedom a little bit. But the ownership is a really big, strong family. It's all ran by them, their kids and their family. And that is something that and that's how we started. It's me and my family and my kids. The first year that we set up at Eagle Point in Purgatory, it was me, 2 14-year-old sons, and an 11-year-old son. And we set 160 pieces of foam on a mountain above 10,000 feet. And so, when we're looking around, we find a venue that's special like that, special family, a special place. It has great heritage. It just feels good there. It's nice, and it's got room for us to grow. So, we felt like that was a great place to be. It's beautiful. It's just outside of Atlanta. Even when you drive out of Atlanta, you get there and you think you're in God's country. It's great. It's, in my opinion, it's a great piece of Georgia. So that's why we're going to go there. When I went up and visited Scranton, I went to Montage Mountain and Camp Freedom, and Montage Mountain Ski Resort just didn't have the right feel for me. It wasn't quite big enough for what we want to do. It has a lot of cool opportunities there for sure. But we just didn't align with the crew there at all. They didn't really come out and even really greet us, to even show us around the mountain. So it was one of those things where it was like, there's the mountain, go check it out. Then the next day I went to Camp Freedom and I got to meet Matt and his crew. And, if you kind of go back a little bit on the idea of what I spoke about with the disabled outdoorsman's course, right? That's what Matt and his crew embody out there, is passing along opportunity to frontline workers, military, people that need a hand up or, something they can work together. And so, when I spent the day with those guys, they were fantastic. The venue's big enough for us to grow into. I really liked his mission. I liked his energy. I liked where he was at. And so it felt right to be there. And so we decided we would go for it. And I'm super stoked about that venue and that location. They've been awesome to work with. And I think my crew and I are pretty good at exploiting what we get our hands on. Going into our 5th year, we can find cool opportunities and cool shots, and we'll make it a great event. From there, then we head back to Soldier Hollow, and that's also one where Soldier Hollow is the old Olympic grounds from 2002, and so it's basically a cross country venue, if you will. It's where they did the triathlon and all this cool stuff, and so that's also a walk out, walk in style event, right, where there's no lifts. But the basin that we're in is beautiful. It's awesome. They're amazing to work with, extremely accommodating. They love who we are. They love what we're about. And, when you've got a venue that kind of aligns with you, the event feels right. It works right. And so, so that was a new addition last year for our location for us in northern Utah. Then from there, we come back to Purgatory, Colorado, which is my hometown. And of course, that one is awesome. I grew up skiing on that mountain. Now I know that mountain as good as I do in the winter, as I do in the summer. The killer venue, more of a resort style, obviously. Amenities right on site, restaurants right on site. And that's a great venue as well. We really enjoy being there. Some real steep stuff that we can work with there as well, and a good time. Then we go back into Utah to Eagle Point, and that's one of our crew's favorites. Eagle Point is all above 10,000 feet. We set up on the top of the mountain. We actually shoot downhill, and then you bring the lift back up, or the shuttle, depending on which way you go. And that is an awesome venue. Chef Jimmy there, Shane Gadbaugh, the owner. Everyone there is so awesome. They know how to support an event better than anywhere we go. And they're an amazing crew. And when you have that kind of alignment, like I said before, it makes the venue and the experience that much more special for everybody. Then from there we head up to Shell, Wyoming. which is in between Sheridan and Shell on top of the Bighorns. And you want to talk about one of the most beautiful places on God's earth, that is amazing. And the amount of wildlife that we have on that venue site is unreal. I mean, it's nothing not to see a bear, a moose, or mule deer, or elk right on the course. I mean, last year we had a bull moose run right through Vendor Village. I mean, like right through the middle, like I cued it with a radio, like release the moose. It was super cool. And that's kind of a wild, wild west shoot, you know. There's no amenities up there. There's nothing very close. You got to come up there. You got to come camp. There's not a lot of Wi-Fi. There's no phone signal up there. So like when you come to the Wyoming shoot, you're in Wyoming. You're in the heart of Wyoming with no connection. And that's a fun one because you can actually really disconnect from the world and come shoot your bow. Then from there, we head up to Kalispell, Montana. And that's growing on my crew quite a bit. The views from up there of Glacier National Park and the lake there and the crew there is fantastic. The mountain has been family ran and owned since its inception. The kids are now running this venue and they do an amazing job. The chef there is great. The lodge there is great. And, you know, it's been an experience over the last 5 years growing Mountain Archery Fest and meeting these people and getting around the country and seeing where we can be. I mean, I've had a lot of strikeouts, you know, on where we go. So it's not easy finding these venues that align with who we are and what we want to do. So, and nonetheless, I like to have places where we can all be safe. That's number one for me, you know. That's huge for me. If I'm going to take my family there, then it needs to be safe, and I want it to be safe for you and yours as well.
That's really neat. I mean, it sounds like it's funny. I mean, I'm really glad that you're coming here because, of course, you know, a lot of us guys back east, we get jealous of some of those events that you have out west. And just hearing about them, I was like, man, I wish I could go to that one. I wish I could go to that Wyoming shoot. I wish I could go to that Montana shoot. I wish I could go to that Colorado shoot because they each have a distinct flavor, you know, and it was really interesting to hear you describing some of the unique aspects of each one. But it's great that you're coming here. I don't know if I'm sure you don't, you know that there's a lot of hunters in this part of the world, but I deal with this in what we do at the magazine. And we've actually just done a bunch of reporting for some articles we put together just recently. Pennsylvania is number one in the U.S. for bow hunters, 331,000 bow hunters in Pennsylvania, and most in the nation. You know, it's going to be maybe be in the first year, right? I mean, you've got to build some visibility. You've got to get the word out, but you've got an audience here. And I hope that you can cultivate it because arguably from a sheer numbers and participation and interest standpoint, it's not at all out of the question that something in this part of the world ultimately ends up being your best event, you know, from certain aspects. It won't have, you know, moose running through the vendor village, but it may attract quite a crowd. And of course, that Scranton area in Northeast Pennsylvania, you're very close to New Jersey, you're very close to New York State. So you have, you know, a pretty good population of folks, even though Camp Freedom is in a nice, quiet, rural area. You're within a couple hours drive of lots and lots of bow hunters. And I hope, like I said, selfishly, I hope it turns out to be a really successful event because it's a lot easier for me if you guys come back here every year than getting on a plane. And you know, it's might be easier for me to do that than a lot of folks, right? I mean, the average bow hunter just can't afford, you know, a mule deer or elk hunt out west every fall, never mind a trip, you know, just to go shoot your bow. Of course, it's an awesome weekend, but you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's hard for people, which is why you have events in so many different locations.
Yeah, you know, we're trying to get MAP into the communities. You know what I mean? What we feel we have is very special. And we want to integrate as much as we can across the United States and provide that opportunity to every archer. And so we're excited to be up there in that part of Pennsylvania for sure. I mean, I've definitely done some research on the numbers surrounding where we're at, and it is a big number. And we think we have what people would want to come and shoot, you know. So we do have a lot of people that come from the east to the west. And what I do find most of the time is they're trying to knock out 2 birds, 3 birds with 1 stone, right? I mean, they draw a tag in that state. So they come out and they shoot with us, and then they break off and they do some scouting and some pre-planning, right, for their hunt that's coming up in the fall. And so that's a pretty cool thing and a good way to look at it, because costs are prohibitive, right, for sure. And so we're excited to be in the area, and we're looking forward to having as many people out there as we can. We're continuing. I'm looking at a couple places in a month. Going up in Connecticut, looking at some stuff in Michigan, West Virginia. I'm always got my ears to the tracks, trying to figure out what we can find and where we can go next year. So, to any listeners out there, if you've got a special spot in your neck of the woods, something you think that could really work, then please get a hold of us via social or email me or whatever, and let's look at what might be on the docket for years to come.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing we do have going at the time you'll be here is turkey season's open in Pennsylvania. Yeah. So I know you're probably awfully busy. I don't know if you get a chance to get out there, although I'm sure Matt has told you, I think they have some pretty good turkey hunting right there at Camp Freedom. Yeah,
there's enough turkeys there. If you're patient enough, you can just reach out and choke one, to be honest with you. There's a ton of birds in there. And that's something I got to kind of bring up is that, we've taken some slack for our choice of timing on having this event. A lot of people are like, well, you're in turkey season. You're in turkey season. And, all I can tell you is that, I love turkey hunting, and I don't blame you, but we're there for 3 days. We're there for the afternoon. We're there for the morning. We're there at night with all these great events. Come and check us out. Come and see who we are, because you won't regret it. Even if you call me up and you say you can only make a half day, then I'll do you a half day price. Like, just come and see who we are and come and see what we're all about. And if you're a good turkey hunter, you'd get it done and you'd be at my event by 10 a.m. and, the rest would be history, right? So,
well, let's do this. If folks, you've listened to the show and you're like, man, that Mountain Archery Fest sounds pretty damn cool, I'd like to check that out. Where can folks go, learn more, sign up, obviously? I would imagine a lot of your Western shoots that have been established for, a number of years do sell out and things like that. So what do folks need to know?
Well, first off, head over to www.mountainarcheryfest.com. There's so much information on that website. It might be a little bit overwhelming. Find the location that's closest to you. Hit that event page, go check out the specifics for that event and what we're doing, and then get registered up. 1 day ticket is $75, a 2 days $105, a 3 days $135. You pre-register for your first course in the morning, and then you can free flow shoot the rest of the afternoon. So it's not just $75 for one course; it's $75 for all you can shoot, and it also includes the stories and s'mores, or any of our nighttime activities. The only other thing that we charge for is the cornhole. Otherwise, our Saturday night social is free. Our stories and s'mores is free. Our seminars that we have on Saturdays are free. So it's like, there's a lot of inclusive stuff in that price. So, and then you can keep up with us on social, on Instagram and Facebook at Mountain Archery Fest. And if you want to see anything behind the scenes a little bit with me, you can follow me at Brandon Waddell _. And that's the best way to stay connected with who we are.
Well, that is awesome, man. I'll tell you what, I'm looking forward to getting over there. To shoot a course, but as much as that, just to kind of feel the vibe of everything that you guys have going on. I definitely want to be there on either Friday or Saturday evening, to experience some of the social aspects of what you guys are doing, and look forward to shooting a bunch of photos and some video and just giving people maybe a little flavor similarly, on the Petersen's bow hunting social of what you guys have going. And like I said, if it turns out to be something where you're coming back again in 24, maybe we get a whole crew from Petersen's bow hunting, or get some readers, or do something. Maybe we team up on an event or whatever and get a bunch of people out there and just add to the fun.
I dig it, man. Well, I can tell you, we're going to be there for 3 years for sure. me and Matt sat down and planned out a reasonably long-term plan, if you will. We've got more plans beyond that, but we're committed to each other for 3 years, and we will be there. Our dates may shift a little bit. Right now I'm running one crew that works the whole country. So if my plan is to separate crews next year to where it gives us a little bit more flexibility with those dates. So maybe I'm not.
Next year you can hire me for the weekend next year, and I'll work your crew.
Yeah. Hey, I'll tell you what. Here's the thing, though, is that we have an amazing volunteer program. Okay, so if you come do setup or tear down with us and put in an 8-hour day, you get a free day of shooting, a T-shirt, a sticker, and we feed you the day that you work. And if you do set up or tear down, we give you free camping. So like, if you come and invest in Mountain Archery Fest, we'll invest in you and your fun and your activities for the weekend.
All right, man. Well, it sounds like you guys have a really good slate of events lined up. Just two things before I let you go. One, you guys must get pretty darn tired. You said you had one crew that works all these events. Like, how many days, weeks, months are you on the road, man?
It's about 2.5 months that we're on the road. So we're out a month on this one. We'll head back. We'll be home for a week. Then we head out to Utah. Then we come back home for our home event. So that feels like we're home, right? And then we leave for another 6 weeks after that. So, it's a solid, basically, it's about 3 months total. And then if you look at the amount of time we spent for the last 2 weeks getting ready to leave, we kind of have to get everything out, blow the dust off. This year we had to basically dig it out of the snowbanks and get us back on track and get targets built up, redo things on the trailer, the semi. We travel with 2 different rigs. One carries all of our stuff, and the other one is basically my glorified fifth wheel. And it's a semi trailer moving van that basically I cook out of and I support everybody out of, and we bunk in it. And we kind of live in that one. It takes a little bit for this whole archery carny family to move around the country. But we do get tired, man. It's a grinder, but I'll tell you what, every one of us and every person that's in my crew, that's on my board, who's a part of Mountain Archery Fest, we are passionate about what we do. We believe in who we are. We believe in the people who come to our events. And, how can you get tired of doing what you love to do?
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess the last thing is, just talking about practice and prep for hunting season. There's no better practice than what you're going to get at one of these events. And so I guess I would just leave it with that. Encouraging people, to come out. You can get, I know a lot of people in our part of the world, I'm sure it's the same out west. There's a lot of local 3D leagues, where a handful of clubs like in our area, has a shoot every weekend at a different club, and guys will shoot that throughout the summer leading up into the season. But you can get a couple of months worth of 3D shoot experience in one weekend at a MAF event.
That's a fact. We've got a lot of pieces of foam on the mountain, a lot of shooting scenarios, and a lot of opportunity. And we've got targets you've never seen. I bring targets in from South Africa, Austria, Italy, and stuff that you've never seen before, stuff you've never got to shoot. So it's a great time. And of course, we have your standard stuff that you want to shoot at, so that you can be, practicing on your animals of choice that you've drawn tags for here in North America. And but I can't agree with you more. Practice doesn't make perfect, in my opinion, but practice definitely builds confidence and knowledge in your gear and who you are and what you're capable of. And that's the most important thing when we're talking about being stewards of land and true conservationists.
Well, Brandon, I really appreciate your time this morning. Like I said, I know you're awfully busy. You're on the road, finding a spot there at a hotel to talk to me, and wish you guys the best. I'm looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. And I don't know what else to say, man. If you're listening, get out, shoot one of these Mountain Archery Fest events, and I hope to see some of you out there at Camp Freedom in Pennsylvania.
Christian, thanks for having me on, man. It really means a lot to me. Thank you so much. And to the listeners out there, we look forward to seeing you in the next couple of weeks or sometime this summer.
Thanks for downloading the Petersen's Bowhunting Podcast. All bow hunting, all the time. Pick up the latest issue of Petersen's Bowhunting magazine on your local newsstand, or connect with us online at bowhuntingmag.com.